if we are going to solve these by hand, okay, here are our steps. You want to get common denominators for all terms, okay? Before you get common denominators, you would really like to factor these because sometimes it makes it where it's going to be a little bit easier. So in this particular case, can I factor 3x minus 3? It's not got x squared, but there's something we can do to it. We can divide everything by 3. We can pull a 3 out. So we'll have 3 times x minus 1 there. So we're going to factor that bottom. So if I look at those denominators, I've got a 3 times x minus 1. I've got just an x minus 1, and I have a 9. Right? So think about those numbers separately from the x minus 1s. I've got a 3 and a 9. What could I use for the least common denominator for those? 9. I'd have to use 9. You got to use the bigger of the numbers, right? So your least common denominator, you're going to have 9. And then since you have an x minus 1, you have to include that as well. Okay? So if 9 times x minus 1 is my denominator, I do need to think about my excluded values or my restricted values. If that's my denominator, what can I not have? What values would make that denominator 0? It's actually not going to be 0 this time because that 9 does not have an x with it right there. So 9 is never going to be 0, right, because it doesn't have x. If there was an x there, you'd be exactly right, and there would be a 0, but it is definitely going to be 1. So x cannot equal 1. We just need to think about that because it's going to matter later because sometimes we get what we call extraneous solutions for these, okay? All right, so we need to get common denominators. So to do that for this problem, I need all of my denominators to be 9 times x minus 1. Alright, oh shoot, I don't have an eraser. 9 times x minus 1 and 9 times x minus 1. To get that to happen, what do I need to multiply the first fraction by? Right now it's 3 times x minus 1. I need to multiply by 3, right? 3 times 3 would give me 9. If I multiply the bottom by 3, I've got to multiply the top by 3. There. So that will give me 39 in the top. Okay. Josiah, what do I need to multiply that second fraction by? To get, right now I just have x minus 1. I need to get 9 times x minus 1. 9. Good. So we'll multiply by 9 on top and bottom. And that'll just give me, ignore my scribble right there. It's just going to be a 9. Okay? And then for the last one, Angel, I've got just a 9. I need 9 times x minus 1. What do I need to multiply by here? Not just a 1. It's going to be a x minus 1. So just like when we were adding and we had to get those common denominators, you're doing the same thing here. Okay? All right, so we have got our common denominators. We have determined our excluded values. The step 3 says multiply by the denominator on both sides of the equation so that it cancels out. Okay? So you don't even really have to write this step, but I'm going to. If I multiply this side by 9 times x minus 1, and this side by 9 times x minus 1. This cancels the denominators because this would be like on top over here, and it cancels the denominator over here. Essentially, you are just going to be left with the numerators. All right, you got 39 minus 9 equals x times x minus 1. So once you get your denominators to be the same, you can mark them out on an equation. Not if you're just like adding or subtracting and it says to add them. This only works if you have that equal sign in the problem. Okay, so we've done that. Now we are going to solve the remaining linear or quadratic equation. Check to make sure your answers are not excluded. So what we should be left with here is either a linear or a quadratic equation. A linear equation just has like an x in it. A quadratic will have an x squared. If you get anything higher than that, then you've messed up somewhere. So this is going to be quadratic because we've got 39 minus 9 will give us 30 right here. And then we would have to distribute that x. So we would get x squared minus x. Okay. This is quadratic because it has the x squared. To solve a quadratic, you need to move everything to one side and either factor or do quadratic formula. In this case, I think it will factor. So we'd subtract that 30. We'll have x squared minus x minus 30. We did this earlier. And then this, I believe, will factor. I've got to multiply to get negative 30. I've got to add to get negative 1. What numbers could I use? Negative 6, positive 5. There, that'll work. So I'll have x minus 6, x plus 5 for that. And then we're wanting to know where this equals 0, right? So that would be like x minus 6 will equal 0. Move the 6 over. It's just x equals positive 6. And then x plus 5 equals 0. You just subtract your 5. X equals negative 5. And are either one of those our excluded value? They are not, so they're both your answers. So you get 6 and negative 5. Sometimes they end up being your excluded value and you have to just throw that one out. Okay, we can check this with Desmos. So if I pull up Desmos here, there we go. If I pull up Desmos, if I want to solve an equation with Desmos, I do f of x equals, and I type in the left side of the equation, right? So 13 over 3x minus 3 minus 1 over x minus 1. Okay, give me that. And then I will type in g of x equals, and I'll do the right side, x over 9. And then I'm looking for where they cross. See right here, they cross at negative 5. You only need the x value. And over here, they cross at 6. You only need the x value for that. So you can check using Desmos. Okay, questions? All right, let's try another one. Okay, for example 2. We've got 7 over x minus 6 equals 4 over x. What would we use for our least common denominator? And if you want, you can put some parentheses around that right there. Any ideas? Okay, your least common denominator, just needs to be like both of those denominators multiplied together, right? So your least common denominator is going to be x times x minus 6. Okay? So, if we are trying to get x times x minus 6, what do we need to multiply that first fraction by? X. So we'll multiply top and bottom by x. Okay? Jasper, for the second fraction, if I'm trying to get x times x minus 6, for the second fraction, what do I need to multiply that denominator by? Nope. Don't answer what they're feeding you. They're wrong. All right, so we want to get x times x minus 6. There's just an x right now. So what do we need to multiply by? If we want it to be x times x minus 6, and right now we just have the x, what else does it need? The x minus 6 is missing. So you're going to multiply by x minus 6. Okay? Are we okay here? Okay? So, our denominators are the same now, right? They are both x times x minus 6. Once you get the denominators the same, if you multiply through, they cancel. So we're just going to like mark them out. They're not there anymore. Just keep the numerator. We got 7x equals 4 times x minus 6. Okay? I need to solve this. So, Alex, what would I do to solve this? That 4 is right beside of the parentheses, which means it's multiplied, so I can't subtract it. All right, Angel's doing this. What's that called? Distribute. We can distribute the 4. So 7x equals 4x minus 24. Okay, this is like, we got 2 more steps. This is a basic equation, right? Scarlett, what should I do here? We don't want to divide by 4 because that would only like move our 4. We got to get our x's together first. So that means we've got to move like the 4x or the 7x. I would move the 4x since if you move the 7x, there's nothing left on that side. So to move the whole thing, we don't divide, but we subtract. So we'll subtract 4x. Like that. So we got 3x equals negative 24. And then, Scarlett, what's the last thing we would do? Now we'll divide by 3. And so x is going to equal negative 8. I forgot to do excluded values for this. What were the excluded values for x times x minus 6? You can't have 6, and you also cannot have 0. Is negative 8 an excluded value? It is not. It's usually not, but there's a few cases where it is. So I get negative 8. Okay, if we want to check it with Desmos, then f of x equals, we type in what's on the left-hand side, 7 over x minus 6. And on the right-hand side, we got 4 over x. We are looking for where they cross. And that happens right here at negative 8. What's a little tricky about using Desmos, and another reason why I want you to be able to do these by hand also, is that the graphs are pretty crazy for this because those rational graphs do a lot of crazy stuff. Sometimes it's hard to see where they cross to get zoomed in and out correctly. Okay? All right. What should I get for my least common denominator for number 3? 3 parentheses x minus 2. Very good, Jeremy. So I need both of the denominators to be 3 times x minus 2. So, Victor, for the first one, I just have a 3. What do I need to add to it? Or multiply it by? To get 3 times x minus 2. Right now all I've got is a 3. It is missing the x minus 2, right? So I'm going to multiply the bottom by x minus 2. I must also multiply the top by x minus 2. Okay? Angel, what about the second one? What do I need to multiply by there? 3. So I multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. Okay? Maya, once our denominators are the same, what can we do with them? Anybody help her? When they are the same, what do? We can cross them out. Okay? Because if the bottoms are the same, then the top have to be equal to each other, right? So, in the top over here, I have x plus 3 times x minus 2. And that equals 24. Okay? Now, to deal with this, I'm going to have to distribute. So, x times x is x squared. This is minus 2x. This is plus 3x. This is minus 6. Okay, so you're distributing there. Foil that out. And so you'll get x squared plus x minus 6 equals 24. And so in these equations, if you have a square, you need to move everything to one side, try to factor, possibly have to do quadratic formula depending on what you've got. If you have one like we did in number 2, there was no square, so it's just a regular equation for you to solve. This one has a square, so we want to subtract that 24. So I've got x squared plus x minus 30 equals 0. And I'm going to try to factor that. And that's just about what we factored just a minute ago, isn't it? We got a negative 30 to multiply. We got to add to get a positive 1. What numbers would work for that? Negative 5, positive 6. All right, so we'll have x minus 5, x plus 6. And so this is equal to 0. You're looking for the numbers that make that 0. You could do the work for it, but it's just going to be x equals positive 5 and x equals negative 6 for that. Okay, questions? All right, let's try a couple more. Okay, we're going to do 4 together. I'm going to let you guys do 5. All right, so for number 4, if I look at those denominators, I've got a 3, an n, and a 6. What could I use for my least common denominator? 6. And then since there's an n, we also have to have an n. Okay? So to make the denominator 6n, what do I need to multiply that first fraction by? I got a 3. I got to multiply it by a 2, and what else? An n. So I'm multiplying by 2 and n for that first one. For the second one, it is an n. What do I need to multiply by? 6. So I'm multiplying by 6. There. And for the last one, what do I need to multiply by? N. Okay? Now, my denominators, I'm going to write that part out. So I've got 2 times 4 is 8, so I've got 8n over 6n minus 42 over 6n equals 1n over 6n. When the denominators are all the same, Keely, what can I do with them? I can cross them out. So now I've just got 8n minus 42 equals 1n. Okay? So this equation is not quadratic. I don't have a square, so it's just like a regular equation. I need to get my variables together and solve. So, Camma, what would I do to solve that equation? Subtract what? Yeah, let's subtract that 8n. Very good. I would move the 1, but then we wouldn't have anything left on that other side. So I would do exactly what you've done. We got negative 42 equals negative 7n. And then, Camma, what would be the last step on that one? Good. We'll divide by that negative 7. Negative 42 divided by negative 7 gives us a positive 6. And so there is our answer. Is that an excluded value? Would that make the denominator 0? Would that make 6n 0? No. It would not. So that's fine. All right, try 5 on your own. Try 5 on your own. On this one? All right. You had it right first, I think. Tell me what to do. What's that first one need? Needs a 2. What's the second one need? A K. The last one? 2. Right? And so the denominators will be the same. I can mark them out. And I will get 6 minus 1K equals 24. Then tell me what to do, Angel. Good. So negative 1K equals 18. And some of you got 18 as the answer, but that was wrong. What did they forget to do, Angel? Divide by that negative. They lost that negative there, so K will equal negative 18 for that. Okay, questions? All right, we got just a couple more. Let me see if I can fix this so it's a little bigger. I can't work with this. This one. Okay, that helps a little. Okay. All right, so let's look at a couple more things. Both of these have an issue where you got one that just doesn't even have a denominator at all. So you're going to put a 1 there. Okay? And I need to factor this. So you can pull a C out, which would be C times C minus 4. So for this equation, you want to use C times C minus 4 as your denominator. Okay? The first one already has the denominator, so you don't have to mess with it. You don't do anything to it. The second one, what is it missing? C. So we're going to multiply by a C here and a C in top. What about the last one? What's it missing? Everything. So you got to do C times C minus 4. Okay? So since I've got C times C minus 4 for all of my denominators, I can just cross it out. And I realize you can't see for this, but that is a 3C minus 2 equals C times C is going to give me C squared. And then I'm going to just do this minus C times C minus 4. There's a lot of C's. We want to distribute this C right here. So we got 3c minus 2 equals c squared minus c squared plus 4c. Now that was good right there because this looked like it was going to be quadratic. But what is c squared minus c squared? It's 0. They cancel out. So now we've got 3c minus 2 equals 4c. So it's actually not quadratic. It's a little bit easier. Okay? Lily, what would I do to solve that? Can't. I will move the 3c over. I got to get those together. So I've got negative 2 equals, this is 4 minus 3 is 1, so this is c, right? Now c is by yourself, so that is your answer, negative 2. Uh-huh. Okay. All right, questions on that? All right, we got our last one. This is over 1. We need to put it over 1. What do I need to use for my common denominator here? X plus 3. So 2 of them already have an x plus 3. That's good. I don't have to do much here. It's just this middle one that needs an x plus 3, which means I must multiply the top by x plus 3 as well. And so all of my denominators are the same. I can just cross them out. And so I will get x plus 6 minus 2 times x plus 3 equals 5x plus 12. What do I need to do to solve this one? Let's distribute first. So we'll have x plus 6 minus 2x minus 6 equals 5x plus 12. Okay. The positive 6 and the negative 6 are going to cancel each other out when we try to put those together. And then so I've got a 1x minus 2x. That's going to be negative 1x when I put those together. So we're combining our like terms on that left side. We got 5x plus 12. I don't want to add it. Let's subtract it. Let's do the opposite sign. So I'm going to subtract 5x. So I got negative 6x equals 12. Last step, divide by that negative 6. X equals negative 2.